This is a genuine 100 watt CO2 laser. This video is dedicated to all the guys out there that have written in to me personally and made comments on my videos about what machine to get and who to get it from. So what I'm going to do with this video is I'm going to tell you exactly what I would be looking for in a laser machine, and also I will be explaining to you the pitfalls of buying off the internet or from wherever. And I will explain to you some of the, shall we say, tricks they use, encourage you to buy a machine from them, and when you get it home, it's not quite what you thought it was going to be. So I'll stipulate now, what I'm about to tell you is what I would be looking for, and I'll give you the tools that you would need to buy a decent, well-made laser. So we're going to start off with the basics. And basics are, you can either have knives, which are aluminium knives here. Normally that's what the machine comes standard with. Or you can upgrade to a honeycomb, which fits on there loosely. There's no need to lock it down as such. Now this should be made of steel, not aluminium. You shouldn't have anything aluminium in here at all. If the machine that you are looking at has an aluminium bed, sometimes they come with an aluminium bed with slotted holes in, walk away. That's number one. I can hear you asking why. A laser is pure energy, and it does not readily penetrate aluminium. In actual fact, aluminium will reflect about 98% of the laser. So that means if the laser hits the aluminium, and the aluminium may be at a slight angle, it's going to reflect back out at you, or up at the perspex. It does happen. So if it's got an aluminium bed, walk away. Very dangerous. Okay, the next thing you should be looking for is solid structure. The whole of this is 16 gauge welded steel. It's got welded steel chassis box section through it, and then a solid box section here which houses linear square rails. So the Y and the X runs with linear square rails, and you can see them here, one here, one here. Now my next preference would be for the drive motors to be hybrid servo drives. Now they're far better, they will operate faster, and the motors themselves send information back to allow the drivers to know exactly where the motors are. So there's to and fro information going back and forth. If you use just stepper motors, well, and you lose a step, you know, you're in trouble. So that means you'd have to re-reference the whole lot. So my preference would be hybrid servo drives. Most reputable companies or manufacturers will be able to fit your laser with hybrid servo drives. If they can't do that, walk away. Now additionally, this also is not a standard item. My machine has automatic Z height setting or focus. And it comes with this like rubbery covered piece of metal that you put on top of your work, and it will automatically set the Z height by use of, see this brown thing here? That's a proximity sensor. So the bed will drive up until this senses it's a certain distance away from this piece of metal, and the Z height will be exactly correct for the laser, or the correct focus. I consider that to be a must, and it's combined with another item, and that is Z height motor control or computer control, and I'll show you that next. Oh, by the way, this little thing here, this is a laser pointer, and that actually puts a pinpoint accuracy where the laser is actually going to strike on the material, and also this is a must as well. So we'll open this, and inside here, a fairly empty cavity, because the ZAxis table, or should we say the table, drops down inside here. Now this is extra deep on this one because I have a fourth axis, which also is very handy thing to have, and for the extra amount of money they charge for a fourth axis for one of these, it's well worth it. But these are the two drive motors that drive the Z-axis up and down, and of course it's computer controlled. Incidentally, it's not necessary for those to be hybrid servo drives. Another thing that is very useful, and I think necessary with the laser, is a milliamp meter. This is how much power, in electrical terms, is going to the laser. Now this particular laser is a recce laser, a genuine 100-watt laser, and we'll go into that in a minute. And the maximum that this meter should read before it starts, should we say, damaging the laser, is 34 milliamps. The voltmeter isn't really necessary. Now the controller, this is a basic controller, and it's an industrial controller. This works directly coupled to the computer, and it's a Windows 10 64 based computer that I use that hooks up with this. No problem at all, and never had a problem with it. I've had this 3 years now. Beautiful controller. There are several other different types of controllers too. Some with color screen. Both of these got color screen actually. And they give you a representation of what you are actually machining as well. You can buy these off the internet and actually wire up yourself. Later on this year I will be showing you how to install these type of controllers. This is the main electrical control box, and it should be well laid out, you know, with trunking, and most especially it should be earthed. Here you have the Z up and down driver, the Y and the X driver, and this is for the fourth axis, where you just simply unplug the X and plug this one in, and it operates the rotary axes then. Nice touch too is to have it ventilated. Okay, now we're getting down to the serious stuff. It should be supplied with the same type of plug and lead that would supply a computer, earthed, and most manufacturers, all manufacturers, will offer you the base machine with a water pump, which is similar to a pond pump or a fish tank pump. They're okay, but I would advise getting a dedicated laser chiller. Now, I've got a 100-watt tube, a Recce tube. I'll come into that in a minute. Now, they're very sensitive to heat. So, my particular tube, I use the 3000 chiller, but I'm in southern Tasmania. I mean, it only gets hot here very occasionally. So, temperatures from, you know, sort of 10 degrees to about 30 degrees, this is fine, as in ambient temperatures I'm talking about. Not only that, if you upgrade to a dedicated cooler, you get a protection system. Now this connects into, they're not light either, connects into the back of here. So if the cooler, all right, say for example it gets to 35 or 40 degrees ambient temperature and you're running the laser, this unit will shut the laser down. Because if you run a laser hot, okay, if the laser tube itself gets hot, well, it's not going to last long. So this is, I regard, as a necessary protection system, especially if you live in Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland, Arizona, list goes on. In hotter climates, an absolute must. And incidentally, you want to use distilled water, okay? Because if you put ordinary water in this, what will happen over a long period of time is microbes will build up in there. And inside the laser, it could possibly turn green, which also is bad for the laser. So, distilled water, okay? There's a tank here that holds about 5 litres, and of course there's a cooling element with a fan, and I've never ever had a problem. It's never cut into, should we say, to shut the machine down, and not a problem. Now, if you do live in a hotter climate, you can get this is a 3000, you can get a 5000 or 5200, and you can get a 7000, the list goes on. So I consider that to be an absolute must. So we'll just slide this, just slide this here. Okay, so now we get to the serious end of things. This is the laser. This orange pipe coming in here to this circular glass tube inside here is the cooling mechanism. This is the outlet, the inlet's down the other end, and it flows through the inside of the laser to keep it nice and cool. I just want to draw your attention to the label on here, and I'll bring you in for that. Okay, so this is a Recce laser, and you will notice some figures on here. Now it's telling you there's a CO2 level. The actual model is a W4, so you can go to Reki's website, and if you put in 100 watt CO2 laser W4, it will tell you the operating parameters of this laser tube. This is the production number, like a chassis number. Now you'll notice here that this says peak power, which is 119 watts, and it will say here agreement power, 100 watts. In other words, this laser is capable of putting out 119 watts of power. But you can only run this laser at 100 watts maximum output. Now I can hear you saying, after I've just made that last statement, what in the hell does that mean? Well, I'll tell you what it means. First of all, if I've put a piece of paper in here, and you might be able to detect inside the center of the laser, it's got a pinky tinge. Okay? I'll come back to that in a minute. This is what's commonly known as a CO2 laser. In other words, it has a certain percentage of CO2 gas inside. It also has other gases, many other gases. But when this laser is operating and lasing, in other words, manufacturing light spectrum that you can't see, if you operate this laser above 100 watts output, the lasing action inside starts breaking down the CO2 gas to its elements, carbon and oxygen. But the thing is, it doesn't readily recombine to form CO2. So if you continually overrun or overdrive this laser to above 100 watts output, it will continually break down the CO2 and break down the CO2 until eventually it will get weaker and weaker and weaker, and you'll be lucky to get 50 watts out of it. So that's what happens with the laser. Now this particular laser is guaranteed for 10,000 hours. And why they can guarantee that is because that pink inside there, that flashing, is a flashing of gold. That flashing of gold reacts with the laser and the carbon and oxygen to recombine those elements back into CO2 gas. So that's what makes this tube very expensive. This tube is over $1,000 worth. You get what you pay for. Now why I'm telling you this is because you saw the peak output of watts 119. Well, shall we say the vast majority of sellers and manufacturers on Alibaba, eBay, wherever, would sell this machine on its peak output. So they'd sell this as a 120 watt laser. But if you run it at 120 watts, you'll kill the laser tube in very quick order. But they don't tell you that. So when you purchase a 50 or a 60 watt laser, when you get it home and you start using it, 6 months later you're buying a new tube. Because that 50 or 60 watt, whatever whatever it's labeled as, say for example it's a 60 watt laser that you've bought, it's 60 watts peak output, but in actual fact continual running is only a 45 watt laser. So they're not lying, but they're not telling you the truth either. And it's sad to say that 98% of sellers, okay, on wherever, Alibaba, eBay, especially eBay, they sell on the peak output. So when you contact a manufacturer or a seller to order your laser, you make damn sure you know what the peak output is and what the running output is. So remember when I started this video, I said this is a genuine 100 watt laser machine. This is a 6090, so it's 60 millimeters in the Y and 90 millimeters in the X operational table. 100 watt laser tube or 100 watt laser. This is a genuine one. It's going to last you 10,000 hours. It's an industrial one. So I hope I've sort of spelt that out now for you. So this is the laser itself, and a lot depends on this. Additionally to that, if you notice here, it is set on its own chassis, okay, and it's mounted here with adjustable mountings, so you can adjust the pitch and yaw of the lasers. Very important. Okay, your laser will also come with an impulse air pump. That's what this is. This delivers air to the nozzle where the laser comes out. This blows into the cut. It does several things actually. It not only blows into the cut and blows the debris away and gases, because that can actually hold the laser up. In other words, mask it. So this blows that out the way, and it also enters in underneath the lens and circulates underneath the lens and then goes out. So it keeps the lens cool and clean. So this is a very important little pump actually. So that fits, just plugs into the back of the laser. So now we come to two very important components, and I have said this in the past, and I think I've been cried down a bit for it, but you've got to understand the science of lasers. When the laser hits the material, the temperature of the core of that little laser is hair thin, is like 5,000 or 6,000 degrees centigrade. Okay, it's hotter than lava. That's how it can do what it does, cut and etch. So what that means is, whatever material it hits, whether it be wood or worse still plastic, it evaporates it into a gas. Now if you continually breathe that, there's a high chance you're going to get something like cancer or some other lung disease. It's no joke. I see a lot of the people sort of answering in my comment section. I delete a lot of them because it's rot. They say, oh, we just vent it outside. So what? You're going to give your neighbour and your kids playing outside cancer? Think of that for a minute. It's a fact. So you need something to clean it. If you're running a laser, you know, I've seen people run these in their spare bedroom with nothing at all. It's not now or next year something's going to happen. It's 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. Look after your family. If you run it in a household, think of them. If you don't think of yourself. So this is what you should be having. This is a multi-stage active carbon filter. Now I'm going to take this apart and I'm going to show you how it works. So this is the first unit. It's a blower. Well, it's a sucker and a blower. Okay. This end connects into the back of the laser and it sucks the air through and the gases. Okay. Now this is not plastic. It's metal. Okay. Built to last. So it goes through this trunking, okay, big 6-inch trunking, and that connects into the base of your active carbon filter. Okay, so the blower blows it into here, okay, into the first section, through the second, third, and then the fourth section. But I'm going to strip this down in reverse. Okay, first section coming off. Ooh, as again is 16 gauge steel. Okay. And in here we have a paper filter, just like you would a car. You can clean this, okay? So it's fabric here, paper here. You can either clean it or you can get another one for it. This section comes off. And here we have another filter with carbon beads. Can you see the beads inside there? I can't actually pop that out, so I'll take this whole section off. Oh, wait a minute. Might be able to get it out. Let's get somebody to get this out. Okay, so that's carbon beads, okay? And here, charcoal, carbon, that you can change. You can actually buy this at an aquarium outlet. That section comes off. And in here, this is bags, okay, air bags, something like a windsock, that the material catches a lot of the larger elements then that's coming from the laser. You can actually clean these as well. So that is what's inside an active carbon filter. And you can service it. So that, ladies and gentlemen, are the elements that make up a decent, well worth 100 watt laser system. Now this is probably a step up from a basic hobby. This is a setup for a hobbyist that wants to make make their money back for their machine over a year or so, or that is able to turn the purchase of this machine and the learning of how to use a laser and the supporting programs into a business from your home. So in many of my videos that you will see me do with the laser and the CNC router, I'm saying that, in one day, this 100-watt laser is quite capable of putting out, $1,000, $1,500 worth of work. You're not going to get that sort of work every day, but the machine is capable of doing it. This machine is. It's not an eBay machine, okay? This was custom made. There are suppliers out there that will custom make a machine for you. This is not a $3,000 machine. All up with all this kit, with the programs, you're looking at approximately $7,000. There's an old saying, you get what you pay for. And certainly with a laser or CNC router, it's absolutely true. You get what you pay for. If you go onto eBay and pay $2,000 or so, or $3,000 for a 80-watt laser, well, you're going to be lucky to get a 60-watt laser, and you're going to be lucky if it lasts you 12 months before you're going to throw more thousands of dollars at it to get it up to scratch. So do yourself a favor, do your homework. You don't have to take my advice. And I would hardly, I've had years and years of experience with lasers and CNC routers, many years than whatever you've seen me on YouTube. And I'm telling you from a scientific point of view as well as an engineering point of view, this is what to look for. These items that I'm showing you. And most definitely the carbon filter. Because it's not now that it's going to affect you or your family, it's years from now. And all those people out there that's putting comments and writing on forums that I'm talking rot, well, go and Google it. They do annoy me sometimes. Because, they're talking absolute rot. And, you can check it up for yourself. So, I sincerely hope that this video on a 100-watt laser, genuine 100-watt laser, and everything that makes it tick, okay, the supporting systems, I hope it's been a help to you. And, I suppose happy hunting out there, and don't jump at the first machine that's offered you. Shop around and make sure that you're getting the right machine for you, and make sure you're getting your money's worth. Okay, because countless people have emailed me and, sort of even in the comments section saying, oh, I've bought a machine from eBay and I've got it here and it's not operating, it won't do anything that you show on your videos. Well, I'm sorry. It's a little bit late then, isn't it? Okay? So I'm giving you the tools that's going to assist you to make the right decision for you, for the machine that you would want. But I stress again, carbon filter, must. You know, you get your money's worth. You're going to pay $3,000 for a kitted out machine. Well, you're going to get $3,000 worth, and it's probably not going to last you 6 or 12 months. And you're not going to be very happy at all, and you're going to be throwing your money away. So my advice is save a little longer and get a better machine. So on that note, I think the next video I will be doing the same sort of thing, deconstructing then a decent CNC router. Okay, so it'll be a similar sort of thing, but directed towards a router. So thank you for joining me, and well, it's bye for now.